kind of takes us into the next piece that we wanted to talk about today, which is routines. It's like, what is life like right now, and how can you make sure that you're making the best out of what's going on? You may have some challenges right now. You may be having to homeschool your kids, whatever that looks like. You may need to be dealing with toddlers, like my life, instead of having daycare, right? And so we have to be dealing with that. You may be dealing with a work from home type of situation where now we're trying to deal with that. And so how do we, none of this is going away, right? So instead of like just complaining about it and posting negativity on Facebook, let's figure out how we can optimize this. And so you can actually come out of this a little bit stronger, a little bit healthier, and just in a better place that you were when you came in, because we really have two choices. You can choose to just, let the situation wear you down and do whatever that's going to do to you, or you can choose to find ways to be better, right? So Ashley, looking at this stuff, what would you say is a good place for someone to focus on with this new normal?
I think finding a schedule and sticking to it. And I know like so many people are like, you have kids, you don't have kids, you don't understand what it's like. I think like
Ashley, you don't know. You don't even know. You don't have kids.
I know. I don't know. But
you don't have toddlers that's in superhero mode right now. And so everything gets thrown or punched or kicked.
Yes, that is true. I don't. But I think finding some version of a schedule of maybe it's not even like you work out at X time, you eat your meals at these times. Breakfast time is here, lunchtime is here, dinner time is here. Just because at school, no matter what's going on, they eat lunch at X time, they come home, whatever your after school routine is, maybe you get in the car, you drive home from school, even though like you drive them there and then you drive back and you're at home and then you start your afternoon routine. It could be a quick refresher. I think finding some version of routine in this is important. And that might not be like, maybe we're trying too hard to plan every minute into 15-minute increments or 20-minute increments with a 2-year-old. Impossible. I used to run childcare and I used to do one-on-one, like I nannied for a long time. So like, I understand what it's like to have a kid and like, know the schedules don't work. But like,
at the end of the day, you get to give the kid back. Like, let's.
When I nannied, when I nannied, I was with her 24 hours a day. Like her parents were both gone and I was with her and I lived in her house. So
probably an angel.
No,
probably like 10 kids in the nation. Like,
no, probably
Gerber baby. We got it.
I hope she's not. She was definitely not. She was an only child, and she was.
What are you saying about only child? Why you gotta put that adjective in there?
She could be a hellion.
Interesting.
Well, but I think like knowing that it doesn't have to be a perfect schedule. And I think it's like, you don't have to like plan every minute or every hour, but no, like there's some hard things you're going to do every day. Yep. We're going to eat breakfast at this time. We're going to eat lunch at this time. And then maybe like this mommy's workout time or dad's workout time is this time. And here are the activities you can do. You can participate with me. You can do this, you can do this. And then dinner time. Like, I think like just showing them that that's what the routine is, like you can find ways for them to do something during that time. And it might be like, you have to entertain that, like stop for a second, do something with it, and then go back to it. Like pause is an important button on your television set. You use it for a lot of things. You can pause your workout and come back to. Like you don't have to like give it up completely. I think also you're home all day with your kids. And I've talked to a lot of my female clients about this, waking up before them.
Yeah.
It might not be something you do all the time. It might suck, but like your house is going to be messy. Your kids are home all day. Stop trying to stay up for 2 hours after they go to bed and clean it. Go to bed when they go to bed and wake up at 5 or 6. Enjoy, like that might not mean you're working out then. That might mean I'm having coffee in silence. Like maybe it's you're just sitting on the couch in silence, staring at nothing. Like those are okay things to do, but you need that time for yourself.
Yeah, well, 100%. And so kids typically sleep longer than adults, right? And so you can choose to either have that time at the end of the day, or you can choose to have that time at the beginning of the day, right? And typically that time at the end of the day is you staring at a screen or you staring at your phone. The first screen was actually a TV, in case we didn't catch that. But the first one is like TV, I'm vegging on Netflix. The other one is like I'm just scrolling Facebook, like not even really into anything. And so you can choose to have that, or you can choose to get up a little earlier and then have your quiet time. Maybe it's coffee, maybe it's read a book, maybe it's get a workout in, like having that kind of me time at the beginning of the day. I would actually advocate to beginning of the day more often than not.
Me too, almost always, only because those hours that I have when I get up early, I'm the most productive.
Yeah.
Like I will get the most done. And maybe that's when you like, you set a timer for 10 minutes, whatever's tidied in that 10 minutes is all that's getting picked up. That's okay. Maybe it's you sit on the couch, maybe you read, maybe you meditate, maybe you journal, maybe you drink coffee, like maybe you work out. Like, but I even said, like, I have people that maybe are working out 3 days a week and they're doing those in the morning. And I'm like, well, on the other days that you're not working out in the morning, you should still get up then. Because your kid, like, I've noticed their kids aren't hopping on the live video. They're still sleeping when they finish. Well, that's still an hour of your time that you have for yourself.
Right. And so I think having like a nice consistent routine too, and really making it a very cognizant routine. So you give it a little bit of thought, like what do you want to accomplish, right? Do you need to get up and get things done right away? If you don't have a little bit of a routine and you don't kind of plan it out the night before, you're just going to get up and you're probably going to just start cleaning the kitchen. Like, all right, cool. Like whatever's in front of your face is what's going to happen. And so having a little bit of that routine, like maybe you get up and maybe you do the 5-minute journal and you do your gratitudes to help with just like the mental space. And then you do like 10 minutes of activity to help kind of get the blood flowing a little bit more. And then maybe you take a shower or something like that. But having that morning routine can kind of get you into that flow quicker rather than just like waffling and wavering around and just kind of like, oh, what should I do? I think having those 2 or 3 activities in the morning that really get you going is critical to having more good days than bad days, right? Rather than just like sitting in your pajamas until 10 and then like, all right, I think I'll shower at some point. Like that just isn't good for our mental psyche.
Well, and I think the other thing is that you could spend that, like you could get up that earlier time and you could just plan out your day. Like what are some things that you need to get done? And I think we over plan what we can accomplish in a day. So like write your list, and I circled the most important 3 things on my list. And if those are the only 3 things I get done that day, that's fine. I think we can do 10 things on our to-do list, and really you need to cut your to-do list in half.
Right. What's the most impactful? What's that lead domino? Here's an interesting, let me see if I can think of the question, but what one thing that you would accomplish would make everything else go away? And so it's like, what's the one thing? I think the book is actually called The One Thing, but it's like, what's the one thing you could do that makes everything else irrelevant to an extent? Are you Googling it right now?
Oh, yeah. It's called The One. It is The One Thing. I think I've read this book. Yeah. I don't think I was all that impressed with the book.
It's interesting. I've listened to some podcasts from the author, and it's an interesting decision making. What would be the best word? Framework, probably decision making framework. Where if you ask the question, what's the one thing I can do right now that will make everything else irrelevant, or it's one thing I can do right now that'll make everything else basically go away or not needed anymore. See if you can find the question, because it actually is super powerful. It's just like you can type in like, what's the one thing I can do right now that will make X happen? But it's a really powerful mental framework to think through things to see if something is actually important.
What is the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary?
Right. So that's an interesting framework, right? What's the one thing I can do right now in such that will make everything easier or not even relevant?
Unnecessary.
Unnecessary, right? And so like, and then that you kind of go through your to-do list, and like, are there a few things on it that just make other things go away or make other things a lot easier? And so I think doing the hard mental work to ask those questions will make your to-do list a lot easier, right? Or even make it go away. Yeah, so I think morning routine is huge. If you're not a good sleeper,
hey, why don't you tell me why don't we share our morning routines with people? I think that could be helpful. Like, what do you do in the morning that kind of sets you up?
Yeah, so I've actually gotten into the routine now of doing 10 minutes of cardio immediately in the morning. So I get up pretty early. I'm usually up by like 4:15, give or take. And so I get up, I start the water on the electric kettle. That's kind of the first thing. I get up, go to the bathroom, do all that, put on shorts and socks and that kind of stuff.
We didn't need those details, but thank you.
Part of the routine, right? Go into the bathroom, do that stuff, and then I come out, start the timer on the, or not the timer, but just like turn on the kettle, right? And so I turn on the kettle. If I didn't the night before set it so that it was already hot. If it's already hot, I just make French press right then and there. If it's not hot, I turn it on, and then I go downstairs, and then I hit the rower or the bike. So it's either 10 minutes on the rower or it's 10 minutes on the Airdyne.
Did you bring those from the gym, or did you have your own set at home?
No, these are the old ones from the gym.
Oh.
So old equipment goes to my basement. Do hit those, hit one of those, and then I'm back upstairs to finish the coffee or drink the coffee now because I made it before and now it's drinkable. And then I'm down in my office and start working. So that's kind of what I do. I found that 10 minutes of just like, not super intense. Like if an RPE of probably like a 7 to 8. So I'm getting after it, but I'm not like trying to break records. It gets the blood flowing, just gets my mind a little bit better. And here's the one thing when you're ever starting any new routine, it's like, it's all deals with like momentum, right? And so when we think about momentum, the hardest possible part is getting the thing going, right? And then once you get it going, keeping it going doesn't take even close to the amount of energy, right? And so like if you are pushing, let's say you're pushing a vehicle, right? Like everyone here could push a car, but getting the car going is the hardest piece. But once it's going and rolling, pushing a car is not all that challenging as long as you're not pushing it up a hill, right? And so any new routine, like, and this was even for me with my 10 minutes in the morning, like I struggled with it to just make it happen. But now that I've been doing it consistently enough, like, it's just like, all right, cool. Like, this is just what I do. And I know what I'm going to feel like afterwards. So even if I feel like crap right away, it's like, all right, I'll feel a little better. And if, for example, like a morning just doesn't happen, like I don't beat myself up about not being successful with it. It's just like, all right, we get back at it tomorrow. And so that's kind of how I look at my mornings. I've done other things. I've done the 5-minute journal, the gratitude thing. I usually kind of add or subtract that depending on my headspace, right? Like if I'm seeing the world as like happy and good, I feel like my headspace is good. But if I'm seeing a lot of negativity or I'm feeling a lot of negativity, then I try and bring in that gratitude practice again to just like kind of like recalibrate to an extent. But I will probably continue to stack stuff onto my morning routines. But my core of it right now is like that 10 minutes of activity. Like that's my core. Because I know a lot of days like I just get so jammed with stuff that like I just don't get a workout in, and I know that like no matter what I'm going to get that 10 minutes in, like no matter what, it's going to happen. So yeah, nice. That's kind of how I think about it. What do you got?
Well, you're going to totally pick on me because this is my whole thing. So the night before, I always look at my schedule for the next day and kind of know what I have coming, and fill in stuff that I need to do. Like, this is really important. I need to make time for this tomorrow, and I put it in my schedule. And it becomes a non-negotiable because I block the time out, and my calendar is set that I cannot double schedule any events. So if I have a period block out, I can't put something else in with it. So I plan my day for the next day. And then right now it's very simple. My alarm goes off. I get out of bed, I turn it up, and I do not get back into bed. The end. That is always a hard morning thing for me. I don't allow myself to get back into bed, and I do not snooze.
So let's pause for a second. The snooze thing, I just don't get it.
Oh God, don't even get me started. Zach snoozes for like 30 minutes.
I don't
And he sets not just one alarm and snoozes it. He sets 5 alarms. So at one point you turn off an alarm and another one is still going off, and he doesn't hear them. I have crawled over him and turned his alarms off. I hate the snooze button. People who I can't do it. Like, get out of bed. And hey, what if you just set your alarm 30 minutes later and got out of bed like, oh shit, I'm late. Sorry, my French guys. But like, just get out of bed like you got things to do, because you do a whole life to live.
But like, so that's the thing. Like, if you're going to snooze 5 times and get an extra 30 minutes, like, don't wake your body up. Like, allow it to sleep until that last alarm would go off. And now you're probably getting a little bit better of sleep as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing, mindset piece from hitting snooze over and over again, right? It's like, I don't want to start my day. Like my life, I would rather be in bed than starting my day. And so
Aaron just called me out. So much anger. Yes, Aaron, it makes me so mad. So mad. It's like, might be my biggest pet peeve.
So it's, why don't, like, if your alarm goes off, all right, cool. You made a choice the night before to get up at a time. Let's do it.
Jump out of bed. Like, be excited to start your day. So mine right now, out of bed, normal, get dressed to work out, go downstairs. I already leave my water out, ready to go, that I'm going to drink. And then I fill my water bottle. I toss in a Nun tablet, or I toss in our amino code to take downstairs for my workout. I go downstairs and I do my workout. And then after my workout, like, my day is kind of planned. I just look at my schedule and I see what I have to do. Like, mine is right now very condensed. Like, normally it involves a wood stove if I was going to the gym, but because I'm at home, I wake up at 5:30 and I'm downstairs in my basement at 10 to 6 to do my workout.
Yeah, so I don't think it needs to be complicated. And I think if someone was thinking about doing a morning routine, find that, like, cornerstone type thing that you feel like gives you the most bang for your buck. Like, what's the one thing that you can do most mornings that's going to help set you up to have a really, really good day? And so if I was advising someone, and activity was a huge piece for them, I would say make it 10 minutes of activity. Just the fact of going down there and doing your 10 minutes. If it was someone that, like, needed a little bit better mental space, I would say the gratitude one is a huge one. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for every morning. Really simple. If you want a tool, the 5-minute journal is great. If someone struggles with their day and just they feel like they're lost all the time or they procrastinate a lot, plan your day the night before. And so now you know what needs to be done. And I think the thing with planning your day is don't be so it's different for everyone. You have to understand what the type of person that you are. I think some people get too rigid with it, and then they aren't able to, like, hit those marks, or they're not realistic with, like, how long. Hey, I need to make sure I have 5 minutes in between calls, or 10 minutes to commute here or to this place. And
I think that's where I struggle. I am one, very, very rigid with my schedule, and I overschedule myself. And that's why everything takes an hour. Just assume everything's going to take an hour, and then, like, keep going from there. So, like, I think, like, okay, I'm only going to do this for 30 minutes, but I still block out the rest of the hour, because maybe I only want to work on it for 30 minutes. But sometimes I sit down and I'm doing it for 30 minutes and, like, oh, I could do this a little longer, and I want that time. But if I book something else right after it, or I plan something else, then I'm, like, quitting something that maybe it's something I don't want to do. Like, oh, I have to do this. I'll do it for 30 minutes. I kind of feel like if I do something for 30 minutes and I'm still done with it, then I can be done. But if I do it for 30 minutes and I want to keep going, then, like, great. This is kind of like my frog. That's how I deal with my frogs. Like, my laundry room, right?
You eat your frog right away.
No.
Or you give your frog a time limit, and
I give my frog a time limit that I'm going to work on it for a little bit, and then if I can kick another bite, I do. But if not, I put it in the refrigerator to pick it up later, and that's where my paintbrush is, in the refrigerator.
That's good. That limits the bacterial growth. Like, that's important when you're eating frogs. Like, you don't want to let that sit on the counter. Like,
yeah.